Alrighty. So, if I'm not mistaken, you have been around in the Snap community from around 2014-ish?
Yeah, I've been in the community since early 2014, back when the group was just like a Skype community. I was invited by Mitch or S Laughter as his username, but I've been speedrunning Ratchet and Clank since late 2012. Actually, I've been speedrunning Up Your Arsenal. I used to just kind of like personally message Zem over YouTube back when messaging on YouTube was the thing. They removed it,
Right.
but yeah, I've been in personal talks with him for over a year before I was actually invited to this group. But the invitation was when I actually first met everyone: Mitch, Sippy, Nuka, all those guys.
I gotcha. Yeah, I've heard about the Skype group. That was back in the days before Discord was around.
Yeah, that was like the old Skype thing where you can just kind of like make a community and all that. You wouldn't ever like get into a VC or anything, because if you called that, you would call like 20 different people at once, and they'd have to all decline or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It was just like an IRC pretty much, and it was the only thing really that was like free, so we just used that.
Yeah, trust me, I am familiar. Me and my friend group did the same thing until Discord came around.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let me pull up my notes here. Just got home from work a minute ago. I guess I haven't even introduced myself. My name's Cece, by the way. Nice to meet you.
Cece, right? IN, or people call me Moose. So.
All right. I will probably call you IN or Insomniac.
IN is fine. I think most people just call me IN. It's 2 syllables, so you know.
There you go. Okay. There they are. All right. So are you more of a strat hunter? I know that you were also a runner, but
I would consider myself a runner. There are people in the Discord who are, I guess, primarily strat hunters that do like runs on the side as well, like Azaki and Janky and all of them. I would consider them strat hunters, but I was more of the runner who just kind of like found these big strats as well, or whatever, just kind of like from understanding the game. But
okay. Anything in particular?
For Ratchet 1, I found this thing called, well, I didn't really name it or anything, but there was this Altana skip where before like the old one is you'd used to go on this platform on the gravity boots, and you'd like go upside down on it, and you'd still be able to hit the button, and then from there you can like jump out of bounds and get to the end. But then I just found this simpler method where you just clip out from one spot, and then you can wall jump and actually gain infinite height by using in-level movies and then run swinging and then wall jumping off the same wall. So that was like a little thing that I made an application for on this planet and just saved like 20 seconds.
That's nice. So whenever you joined, was PDA, or sorry, I mean I call them PDA jumps, but I know you guys call them like mid-air jumps or something.
Yeah.
When was that? Was that around whenever you first joined?
When I joined, it wasn't around. We'd actually discovered it maybe midway through August or something like that. Well, not August, midway through 2014. I remember Infinite Jumps being like the first application with PDA, and we would use the thruster pack, and you would actually have to like double tap R1 to get this weird gliding thing that's only in rack 1. And then whenever you close the PDA, you go back into that same state and you can swing your wrench off of it. And then when you swing your wrench, you're in like a standing animation, so you can like just jump. So we kind of abused that, and that's how we got infinite jumps. And then we figured out with the PDA a few months later that if you hold L1, you didn't have to be in this weird gliding thing with your thruster pack. You can just hold L1, and you would let go and then press square, and you could swing your wrench anyway. So after that, you didn't need your thruster pack anymore. You can just like have no pack or no pack or heli pack or whatever. And so that made things with the routing a little bit easier, because the thruster pack is the last pack you actually get in the game. So that was all discovered. Yeah, that was all discovered like midway through 2014. So I was there when we all discovered all of this stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I know I've seen some runs. I think I forgot who it was. It might have been Nuka. But they would go to Battaglia, get the Orcs on, right? They get the Orcs on IB or Infobot, and then they would go to Pakitaru, get the thruster pack, and then go back and then do infinite jumps to the other one. I think it's the Caspar.
No. Yeah. I was actually watching. I was just like going over a few older runs, and it's really weird. It's like a throwback. Yeah, I was watching Sippy's run. I think it's a 36. Where he goes to Battaglia, gets the Infobot, and normally, like in the route now, you would stay in Battaglia, grab the Infobot for Oryxon and the Infobot for Gaspar or whatever it is, in the same visit instead of going there twice. But back then, since we didn't know IJs with the helipack were a thing, we would get the Oryxon Infobot, go down that path to Popataru, get the thruster pack, and then kind of like backtrack Battaglia, go on the other path, then get the Gaspar, and then after that you had to go back to Pokataru and then do the ship fight with the helmet that you get on Gaspar. So it was a really weird route that lasted like 2 months or whatever.
Yeah, a terrible 2 months. It just seems so silly. You're making like 3 trips.
Yeah, it was really odd, but like that was probably the beginning of what a lot of people call the golden era of Iraq. Mainly because like all these strats were being found, like this, and then ILJs would be found later into the year, and also because of all the runners. I know the community was a lot smaller back then, but there were definitely more people contending for the world record. There was Sippy, there was Nuka, there was Mitch, there was myself for a little bit, and then there was Vortex. So all of them, all like the 4 of us, were very close in skill, I would say. And nowadays, like if you look at past eras or like eras after that, you'd see like Zem just has a bunch of records, or not Zem, Ricky has a bunch of records. Staff was there grinding for a while and he got a bunch, and then Ricky came back, and then most recently Friends just got records, 2 of them. So those eras were mostly just like kind of like one person pushing this category down a bunch, but then looking back like, into the 2014 days when it was like a small community, it was cool because that was the first like little formation of a community. Because even before then, it was just like the same thing where it was like one person maybe, and like Iceman was there, but you know it wasn't really him and anyone else. It was just kind of like that one guy, right? So like this was like a team effort for this whole year. It was really cool.
Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed so far is that besides Orc, Caveman, and Infi in that sort of like early 2013, like that's like the first group that ever was like actually talking about and actually like the first group of runners, right? And they only lasted for a couple months and then they left. And then Ticeman shows up and Ticeman's like, it's a ghost town. Nobody's here. Nobody else is playing.
Right.
And even if you look at like any percent and stuff like that, like there's really not that much going on in this time frame. Not until 2014-ish.
Yeah, I don't know too much about like the days before 2014 and when I joined and all that. I knew about Oric from a while back. I just kind of like saw his stream one time in like 2012, 2013. So I saw him playing the game, and I saw Caveman also speedrunning Rack 1. I'm pretty sure he hated it, but he did it anyway. And so
I haven't reached out to him for context, but I probably won't. But
I don't know if he would agree. I mean, as far as I know, he still supports, I guess, like as loose a term as support. He supports Ratchet speedrunning. He thought Up Your Arsenal was an interesting game. At least I think. I'm not entirely sure, but it's one of those games that are like really fast paced. So I think when talking about like GDQs and something like that, he said that was a good game or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, I remember his experience with Rack 1. He hated it. And so after his 46, he just like stopped completely. And that was the last I had heard from the old Rack 1 runners. I don't know much about Infi. I never really knew much about Tice except his 38 was kind of like something of a legendary run for us back in 2014. We looked up to that for like has like a really good run using the strats that he did. Later on, we found out that or we didn't find out. We just kind of like grew out of that perception of the run. We just kind of realized it was a good run, but it's like nothing like insane. But still, it was like a big moment, I guess, in the history of the category.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody that I talked to says that like Tice's 3846 was sick. And obviously, it doesn't have the newest cool strategies. It's only 2013, right? That was, gosh, that was a full 6 years ago. Lots happened since then. But yeah, I think a lot of people respect him for the effort he put in. So around 2014 is when the PS3 version comes out. Right?
Yep. Actually, I think that's when it came out, something like that. And we knew from the get-go that PS3 was faster for any percent because of something called pyro glitch, where you can just use the pyrocitor on Drek, the final boss.
Mm-hmm.
And if you hit him at like the bottom of the hull where like the flame comes out of his robot mech, it like melts his health bar, just like does damage on every frame. And so like that was the fastest way to kill him. But that glitch doesn't work on PS2. So doing this on PS3 was the faster way for any percent because it doesn't cost much to get the pyrocitor. But then on PS2, if you're doing NG plus, you have the Rhino, which is already a strong weapon, and we thought it was fast enough to just kill Drek with the Rhino.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a few other strats that weren't possible on PS3. The aforementioned Ultanis strat, where you like go on the gravity boots and you go upside down on this platform. You couldn't hit the button when you went upside down on the platform on PS3 or something like that. So that strat didn't work.
Mm.
And there were a few other things as well with PS3 specific strats. The main thing, though, I guess, like in general, was clips. They were a lot harder on PS3 than PS2. So this was all before PDA and stuff as well. So these clips were harder, and we just kind of like felt, I think, that even though the loading differences were faster on PS3, like this stuff would even out, and so it'd just be better to run on PS2 anyway. The PDA tricks with like ILJs or SpeeDAs, like when you do a long jump and you cancel instantly with a PDA, and then you can gain a lot of momentum like in a very short distance.
Mm-hmm.
All these PDA tricks are faster on PS3 because the PDA start and stop times when you like kind of press circle to load the PDA and then press circle to get out of it. The difference is tiny, like in comparison to PS2. The PS2 you have to wait about a second until the PDA until you can actually close the PDA. So it's a lot faster to do these tricks on PS3. But back in 2014, these didn't exist. So that time save wasn't around. So it just made PS2 like the better option and for that period.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've seen the difference, like watching PS2 runs versus watching PS3 runs, and it's like, yeah, I would hate to run on PS2 just because the load times for that, because you have to like load I don't know who the guy is, but the guy in like the little window in the corner.
Yeah. That guy, he like just takes a long time to like load up or show up on the screen or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird too, because like on PS3 he's like really flat or something like that.
Interesting.
It's odd, but yeah, a little Easter egg or something. But yeah, around mid 2014, I think here. Let me just look at this chart. Yeah,
I see
this
you over
time
there.
here, August 2014, when Slaughter and Nuka were tied with the 3155. This is when LJs, I believe, were found, and things started to become like definitively faster on PS3. It definitely became the preferred option, especially when like Vortex took over as the world record holder, because I don't think people would say he was the better runner in terms of skill than Nuka. But because he used the fastest version, PAL PS3 download, where you can do pyrocity glitch. I think actually pyrocity glitch is only possible on PAL or something like that. It's either
that sounds right.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, he had the fastest version. So I think like once he started taking the records, that's when the sort of like separation began to happen between PS3 and PS2. Before that, it was like you could play on either version and you could get the record. I even like I guess technically had the fastest time if you were to take into account version differences for like one day. I think in December 2014, I beat Nuka's 3155 on PS2, and then he took it back like a day later. And ever since then, I think PS3 has just like gone like minutes faster, and so now no one really runs on PS2 anymore because the differences are so big that like comparing between the two nowadays is just like too much of a hassle. You may as well just play on the fastest version, especially since it's not like hard to get or anything like that. It's not like you need an IQ or anything to play on it.
Right.
And also, I guess it's more popular now. Most people play on PAL PS3. PS2, yeah, before it used to be the most popular version. It just kind of like faded away after that, though.
Okay. Speaking of Nuka, Nuka would eventually get a 3028, and a lot of people think that's like a really, really important run.
Yeah, that was a really good run. Yeah, a lot of people call that like the best Rack 1 run for a long time. I don't know when people like forgot about it, I guess, or like started saying, like this PS3 run that's 23 or 43 by Ricky or whatever is the fastest run now. But for a long time, yeah, this 3820 or this 3028 was like is a really good run. Like even these 28s here, and they're minutes faster, but they weren't I guess as impressive as Nuka's 3028. And this came actually after that little time period where I took the record for one day, the PS2 record, and then he beat me a day later. He continued to play for a couple months, and that little period when he was playing ended in his 3028. And then after that, he just took a break. He stopped playing pretty much altogether. He came back for a little bit and got like a 25 on PS3, but he never really uh, took it as seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And I also went and beat that time, but that was more like in 2017 when there were all a bunch of new strats found. So that PS2 run was like the last hurrah for the PS2 era and probably the golden era of Rack, I would say. It was
Okay.
like
So you think
the
the
best
golden
run.
era kind of ended with that?
I think I would say like if you had to mark an ending, I would probably put it with that run. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess it's because we switch over to PS3, but isn't that sort of when we focus more on um, infinite jumps and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, infinite jumps, they were there. It's just that, yeah, with all that stuff, all the new PDA text, PDAs, ILJs, where, on certain surfaces, you can long jump and then cancel with the side flip, and then cancel with another long jump. All these things would just kind of be discovered, and people would be playing on PS3 already. Because, like, with all this PDA stuff, and PDA gliding with canceling momentum and gliding. And there's just so much PDA technology or techniques or whatever tech that was being discovered around like this time, 2014, 15, 16. And just, yeah, by 2015, people already knew it was a lot faster to play on PS3. So everything just kind of like moved over to PS3. And as soon as it became more popular, there was like no more reasons to play on PS2. The only reason why I kept playing on PS2 is because I don't have a PS3. That's why.
Yeah, make do with what you got.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking if I had to put an end to it, I would probably say around the Walloper era. And the reason I say that is because I think Ricky was telling me that like the Walloper kind of puts you at top speed. So it stopped being about like, hey, what do we do to like gain speed and like how do we maintain speed? So it mainly became like, how do we optimize? Like optimization became more of a like, how do we like get and maintain top speed all the time? And so it sort of became much more like, go here, do this, jump here, that kind of thing. Like it was very much more intentional as opposed to sort of like free form.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with the whole keeping momentum. That was definitely like the new meta for this game for movement. Um and particularly like in gaining speed, that was one thing that you would have to like do a bunch of long jumps and neutral long jumps to gain your momentum before. But then with
Mhm.
wallopers, it was like everything there was instant. The buildup was gone, and you just had to go top speed from one place to another. And there's a bunch of ways you can do that. And the best or easiest way, or the fastest way, is through PDAs. That like it stops you in your tracks, but it keeps your momentum. So it makes it a lot easier to like make turns, sharp turns, and all
Mhm.
PDA. And so with additional, PDA stops, it's gonna save more time on PS3. So you could mark like the area of PS3, maybe completely killing PS2 right here. But I think even before then, I would say, yeah, like people already knew PS3 was the faster version. So
It was on the way out the door, and then this was kind of like the whenever we
like the
marked the
nail in the
difference.
coffin. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So are you still active? You still follow along and everything since then?
Yeah, I'm still in the Rack Discord, the community. I'm not playing this game as much, particularly because my PS2 is at home, and I go to school like on the other side of the country. So I
Gotcha.
usually just play games over emulator, which is like the only games that allow emulators are the mobile ones. So Size Matter is going mobile and all those.
Mhm.
So I've been speedrunning those, and sometimes when I'm home, I dabble around, but not so much in this game as like going Commando or Up Your Arsenal. Those are my main games, but I still do look at this game and its progression and all that stuff.
Okay. All right. I guess the only thing I have really left to ask is uh could you maybe tell me about how sort of the progression of Ricky getting to sub 20?
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember this like amazingly well, but I do remember the grind when he was at around the 20-minute mark, and we were thinking about sub 20 being like the big milestone. And for a while, it was just kind of like grinding, but also I think around his 2016 or something like that. I don't know which run it was, but between then, actually, wait, it's archived right here. The Fast Fleet, the Fast Veldin, the Fast Skywarp. There was just a whole bunch of strats randomly, like just kind of found in the next in like 2 weeks that made sub 20 going from like you got to have like this perfect run. I think Ricky made a vid about it where
He
he
made
was like,
two.
yeah, where it was like sub
Yeah.
20 is possible, and here's how I can do it. And he showed like how many seconds he would gain or lose or whatnot. And like these new strats just kind of like made those videos obsolete because it just became a lot easier to get that time. Um, thanks again to like I forget who found it. I don't know, Janky Nizaki. There's a whole bunch of new strat runners.
Mhm.
Hard to keep up with like who found what. I know like a lot of people take a lot of pride in what they find in this game, but I mean, again, in the end, it's a
Yeah, when
community
you have so
effort.
many
I would say.
strats like this, it's kind of hard to keep track of like this is, Izaki's strategy or this is
Yeah, yeah.
Jenki's or whatever.
I don't
So,
think. I mean, like, I can see people wanting their credit where it's due, but like again, in the end, it is a community effort, and like the runner who has this time or their name, it's just kind of like it doesn't really matter so much as the game's progression. At least in my opinion, I've always played just to push the game down as far as it could go. I mean,
mhm,
that's my philosophy.
I gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. I remember seeing he sent me two videos, and it was like sub 20 is possible, right? I was like, okay, cool, sub 20 is possible. Then like literally sub 20 is free. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. That's when these two strategies were found, and then it just
Mhm.
kind of like blew everything out of the water.
Yeah,
And yeah, after that, once he got it, I mean, I think he got it. Oh, this was April. Um, there was one thing where I think he beat a record like right on New Year's Eve, and that was crazy. It might have been this 2116 here.
yeah.
I guess it doesn't have. Oh yeah, it's when SCAF, right? It's when
It's when he
SCAF
passed up Scaff. Yeah.
finally came back. Yeah, that was also an emotional time for him. I would say it was a good time for. Like it was the beginning of another era for rack speedrunning. And then there's Franz now who's taking up the mantle, but he's also like busy with school and stuff. So maybe
I gotcha.
not as active
Okay.
now. But I guess what's going on now for the future of this game, we're still looking at something called Pokeskip, if you've heard of it.
I have heard of it. Yeah.
There's some developments going on with it right now where a runner, I guess this is a strat a runner that I would consider a strat hunter called Cinna. She found Cinna flips, if you've heard of that strat.
Yep.
It's for something on Rilgar and a couple other, actually, I think it's just mainly Rilgar, I don't know. But he's been doing work on Oryxon 1 as Clank, which is like Pokey Skip, where you do the Ratchet section entirely as Clank. So in doing so, you don't have to go to Poketaru, you don't have to go to Gaspard to get the helmet to do the Poketaru fight, and then you don't have to do half of Battalion to get that Gaspard infobot, which saves around 6 minutes. There's been new developments where you can stand on this rail and you can't quite get to the second infobot spot, which is the main problem because it's like on this island of a rock or like a platform or whatever that we have to get to. But since it's so far away from any other thing that you can stand on, it's kind of hard to find a way around. But then I found that you can stand on this magna rail, and if you do a big Clank jump, which is like jumping and then pressing an in-level movie on a certain frame of the jump, you can get very close. We haven't gone a ledge grab on it yet, but you can get very close to it. And now we just gotta figure out how to first get on this magna rail and then find out if there's any way to get onto the platform using like just get a little bit of extra height. But if we can do that, then the route would change entirely. That's something to look forward to. But I mean, I wouldn't get my hopes up that we'll find it now or even next year because this has been something that was in the minds of runners since like 2013. Right. So it's been 6 years in the making, and it's probably going to keep on going for a little bit more, I think.
I gotcha. Yeah, I've heard mixed things. I think it was Azaki. Somebody told me that it's a meme. Like it's never going to happen. Like people, I guess it's one of those things that's been around for so long. People kind of gotten like, it's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely something where it's like something gets found, and then people get hype about it, and then it's just a drought. Like there's nothing found for a long time, and then somebody comes out of nowhere. Tab came out of nowhere, I think, and then found this crazy boost with the elevator as Clank, and you just get like a bunch of speed, and you can get onto this platform. That's like you would never think you could get onto it without this boost, but then he found that. And then there was some other person. I don't know his name, but I think like his YouTube name was like Koan or Cohen, and like his N was capitalized at the end. So he found this proxy for the 6th infobot, which was also like another problem back like a couple of years ago. He just came out of nowhere and found that. And then another, I don't know who did it, but some person, this isn't really related to Clank. I mean, Pokey Skip, but this runner found Tree Skip, which was, a big time save for any percent, where you can like jump out a tree as Clank and just clip through a wall. And so you wouldn't have to do this whole thing with the gadget bots in any percent. And so there's things randomly being found on Oryxon 1 like every year or so. But since it's so like random and so like, out of the box as compared to like any other skip in any other planet, it's like when nothing happens, when there's a drought, people just kind of like think, oh, yeah, this is probably a meme. It's never gonna get found, especially like with all these like crazy things happening, and yet still we're so close to it so far, and it's been so long. I don't know if it'll happen myself, but it could. We've hacked the game, and we found that it is possible if we can actually get onto the second platform. That like if we get the infobot all the way to the very end and we get to that spot in the last location as Clank, that the infobot will actually trigger. But until like it's actually confirmed that we can get on this platform and that the rest of it is actually possible, I personally want to know. And honestly, I don't know if I would want it. I guess I'm being a little selfish here because it might be faster anyway, and you always want to do what's fast. But it would definitely like change the game where you would get these 6 minutes of kind of like Clank going around. It's probably not the most exciting thing for the game. Maybe it would be an awesome discovery, but I don't know how it would affect the whole like the game. Like right now, it's like very fast paced and nice to watch. Even though Poketaru, like for a while, was a bit of a side scroller or whatever. It's
Mhm.
gotten better. Where you had like guy skip, where on the last section of Poketaru, the guy can just like warp if you do some stuff with the Devastator and he presses button early or whatnot.
Mhm.
So Poketaru has gotten better, but that still, I guess, I mean, maybe it's not the most satisfying thing just standing on these two boats for like 30 seconds each. But I don't know, like about like entertainment value. I mean, in the end, again, it's not really like the most important thing, but still,
No, I
I don't
get
know,
you.
I don't know how the run would look with Pokeskip and then doing Pokeskip in runs if people are crazy enough to actually go for it.
Yeah. That's kind of thing. You got to be careful what you wish for. Everyone's like, "Oh man,
Yeah,
Pokeskip, it could be possible," and then you find
could
out
be
it's like, "Oh
possible.
yeah, someone's gonna get a record with Pokeskip," and then everyone's gonna be like, "Fuck, now we have to do Pokeskip," and then you realize, oh, it's like a frame perfect jump, and then this, and then there's that, and then yeah,
Yeah, I personally don't know. I mean, I've tried to help out, but PS3 is actually a lot more you can do on PS3 with the big Clank jump and all that. I think that's all PS3 exclusive. Um,
I
so
got you.
me only having a PS2 and not having an emulator or anything for Rack One, I would like to help, but it's like one, do I really want it to happen? And two, I don't know, like I can't really think of these crazy things that come out every other year or whatnot. It's like some really crazy stuff, and the fact that it hasn't happened yet is a little bit discouraging. But I mean, like sometimes people just kind of come back to it and like instantly find something. Like just kind of came back to it. I don't know why, but she did and found something interesting. And hype has been renewed for maybe the next few weeks, and then maybe it'll die out again for another year.
It's the cycle, man. That's how it goes. All right. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to talk about?
Um, hmm. I can't think of anything in particular. I mean,
We kind
Rat,
of skipped over a lot of the stuff that happened in the sort of like the later 2017, 2018 stuff.
yeah, I mean, I personally don't know too much about this. Again, I wasn't really active during this time. Like I saw the records, how they happened and whatnot, but I wasn't really like involved as much as I was in
It's all good.
2014.
I chatted with Ricky himself, so I got a
Okay.
pretty good.
Yeah, so yeah, if you have a good understanding of those two eras already, then that's probably good because I don't think I can add much to it.
Okay. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you sitting down and talking to me.
Thanks for
I know
having me again.
I kept pestering you. I think I even like convinced you
No
to
worries, no worries.
sit. All right, we end the recording.